Alright, Daredevil Born Again is finally out, and I have a quick breakdown of episodes 1 and 2 for you. But before we go on, there will definitely be spoilers, so please be aware if you haven't seen the episodes. And then afterwards, I'll give you my thoughts on where the rest of the season might be headed. But first, please like and subscribe. Anything you can do to help my channel grow will be greatly appreciated. It's been several years since we last saw Matt and his friends, and things seem to be going well. That is until Bullseye shows up and absolutely causes chaos. Yes, unfortunately for Foggy, he will not be in the rest of the show. He is shot through the heart in the opening scene, Matt is stabbed several times, and then eventually throws Bullseye from a roof. Matt in his mind thought he was killing Bullseye, but he actually survived the fall. Matt takes off his mask and throws it off the building, giving up being Daredevil. And his friend Detective Cherry actually sees his face for once, becoming the second person still remaining alive other than Karen that knows who he is. Fast forward, it's been a year since Foggy was murdered, and Matt has not been Daredevil this entire time. Unfortunately, the city of New York has been overrun with a bunch of crime, being that they lost their #1 crime fighter, Daredevil. It also looks like the mayor of New York has been recalled. One big person throwing their name into the ring is Wilson Fisk. Yes, he may have been shot in the eye at the end of Hawkeye and even gone on a vision quest in the TV show Echo, but he is back in town and even here to go see his wife, Vanessa. Unfortunately, Vanessa's not too excited to see him as she's been running Fisk's evil empire this entire time. Nelson Murdoch and Page is no more, and now Matt works in a big law firm with one of his friends. It's sentencing day for Bullseye, and unfortunately for him, he's about to get 11 life sentences because the city of New York looks down on murdering 11 people. Karen returns to town for a little bit to berate Matt. Yes, she and him haven't talked in almost a year since Foggy was murdered, but she is off living in San Francisco, so we may never see her again, but more than likely she'll be back before the end of the season. Wilson Fisk is taking advantage of the fact that crime is rising in New York City, and he is quickly rising in the polls with his new slogan, Fisk can fix it. Matt hasn't had any dates in a year, and his new law firm partner sets him up with her good friend who's a psychiatrist. Maybe Matt will actually know happiness, if only for a bit. It does look like Wilson is about to win the election, and so Matt approaches him and demands that they have lunch. As shown in the commercial, these two have a little back and forth for about 10 minutes, basically telling each other that they both have changed. Matt giving up being Daredevil, and Wilson Fisk giving up being the Kingpin. Whether they will be able to hold off their old personas and move on, we will have to see. Repeatedly in the first episode, people keep talking about an artist that keeps tagging the city. I have a feeling that this is about to be the beginning of the Muse storyline. Wilson Fisk promises to make the city better, and he is going to get rid of vigilantism. Not just to the level of making them register, he is about to make vigilantes illegal. And that goes double for his friend Matt, who he says he will arrest if he becomes Daredevil again. Kind of ironic because Matt arrested Kingpin several times before. Matt and his new girlfriend go on a date, and while they're on a date, Matt overhears that Wilson Fisk won the election with 53% of New York City's vote. That's right, New York City is so angry with all the rampant crime going on that they will elect a former crime boss in order to fight it. But everything isn't perfect for the mayor-elect. It looks like his wife Vanessa isn't too happy that he returned after having leaving her for so long. In fact, she even took up a lover while he was out of town. Vanessa begs Wilson not to kill her lover, and he promises that he has changed. How long that change will hold, we will have to see. And in the end of episode 1, the mayor-elect looks down at the city as Matt looks up to him. Both of them are on the opposite ends of where they began in that episode. The second episode begins with the newly elected mayor talking to the residents of New York City. It is New Year's Eve, and he wants to make a speech to them. He promises this new year will bring new change, and he's going to end vigilantism. There's a fight in a subway, and a man tries to stop two other men from beating up a person. He ends up unfortunately getting in a fight with the two criminals, and he knocks one of them in front of a train, and he ends up getting run over. The other criminal turns out to be a police officer, and he pulls a gun on the man. Yes, it looks like Hector is going to jail for murdering a New York City police officer. Fisk isn't actually enjoying being the new mayor. There's just a bunch of meetings, and it's not like how he had hoped. Not everyone is actually excited to have the former kingpin be the mayor of New York City. And even worse is his wife isn't polling well, as she doesn't show up with him at events. People think she's kind of standoffish. Matt offers to represent Hector because he believes that Hector is innocent, though there's something off about him. Yes, Wilson is bored of not doing anything as mayor, but eventually he sees a hole in the road that's stopping traffic, and he demands that construction continue, waiving all the red tape and forcing construction to start immediately. And it bodes well with the people of New York, which are tired of things moving so slowly. Yes, that's one thing that Wilson can do, is command business. Matt tells his partners that they are going to represent Hector, and they're not too excited, because he is a cop killer, and cop killers are pretty much looked down everywhere, and even more in New York City. He asks his friend Cherry to investigate what's going on. There's something hidden about this man. Unfortunately, bail has been denied. The judge doesn't want a cop killer on the streets. BB, a political YouTuber, has a meeting with Wilson Fisk, and she mentions the fact that the commissioner is about to quit. He hates Fisk, and he's going to bring all the cops with him. And if all the cops resign, then Fisk's term as mayor will come to an end very quickly. Fisk decides that she's very smart, and he plans on manipulating her in the future. Matt's new psychiatrist girlfriend is a writer, and she's actually considering writing a book about the masks that people wear, specifically vigilantes. She's even approached by a really shaky guy that I'm pretty sure is going to be Muse later. Fisk shows up at the funeral for the slain cop. He wants to try and improve his relationships with the commissioner of police. Unfortunately, that guy absolutely hates Fisk and is planning on trying to destroy his mayorship. For some reason, Hector's wife doesn't want to go to court. She's afraid that it's a lost cause, and he is just going to be a cop killer in the eyes of the judge and the jury. But it turns out Hector actually has another secret. He is White Tiger, a vigilante that took up arms and became way more prominent after Daredevil retired. But without having his necklace that gives him powers, he is just a normal man in Rikers Island getting the crap beat out of him. Matt confronts his client and tells him that he knows that he's White Tiger, and promises that he will help him, but he has to reveal everything, because if the DA brings up any surprises in the courtroom, he won't be prepared. The police commissioner walks into the mayor's office and resigns. Or at least he would if it wasn't for the fact that Kingpin, Mayor Fisk has a secret. He reveals that he knows about the commissioner's secret love child, and he forces him to stay on. And to double down and prove that he's no one to mess with, he promises no raises for any cops and no guaranteed overtime. It seems to me that he's done playing mayor like a normal politician and more like a kingpin. Matt wins an argument with the judge and the DA, and he gets them to agree to hold off having any reference to White Tiger or vigilantism. This will at least give him a chance on winning the court case. Cherry says he can't find the witness that Hector saved, and it really would help Matt's case to prove that those two officers were hassling somebody when Hector showed up. So he finally decides to start following those officers, and eventually overhears that they have found the witness and they're planning on taking him out. So Matt ends up canceling his date with his girlfriend, which is perfectly fine with her because she has a new client to meet. Yes, it turns out that Mayor Fisk and his wife Vanessa are getting couples counseling from none other than Matt's girlfriend. And it turns out that she's really unhappy that Wilson returned to town. They were in love, he left to go find himself, and she actually enjoyed running the business. Of course, that business was being the Kingpin's replacement, but the therapist doesn't know that. Matt ends up finding out where the witness is and ends up protecting him from those dirty cops, who decide to literally beat Matt to death for protecting the witness. They pull out a gun and are about to blow out his brains when Matt finally breaks down, and Daredevil is literally born again, and he beats the absolute snot out of those two cops, breaking their arms, possibly breaking their neck. They may survive, but I don't care because I was standing up and cheering because Daredevil was back. And that's how episode 2 ends. So where do I think this show will go in the future? I think it's become clear to Matt that he is going to have to be Daredevil. It might slowly creep up on him, but he can't play by the rules of the city, especially when the city is going to progressively be more and more under Fisk's thumb. Wilson, on the other hand, will really start enjoying being the new mayor. But he himself will have to start breaking some rules, as he's already done with the police commissioner. I believe that Muse is going to show up in the next few episodes. Maybe not clearly where we actually see him, but where we start seeing people being murdered by him. I believe that the Hector storyline will be the next one to be completed, and then we are going to roll right into Muse. I don't believe we will see the Punisher until later on in the season. And finally, one thing that made me really happy was when Wilson Fisk was talking about vigilantes, not only did he mention Daredevil and Punisher, but he actually mentioned Spider-Man. That's right, we are officially in the MCU. Please tune in next week when I break down episode 3. Thank you very much. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out those other videos on screen now.